now you're on video.
And it was one but basically, like, people who stand there and speak from the painting.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it, but what I know now is thinking about something like ChatGPT.
So they're not just their tools. Like they're
Morning, Amanda.
This is really exciting. This is the most people we've had for one of our, especially our AI talks. We do this on a monthly basis, so great to see all of you. My name is Amanda Chaco. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship at Lakeshore Advantage. For those of you that are not familiar with Lakeshore Advantage, we are the economic development organization for Ottawa and Allegheny County, and we work with from startups to grown-ups, helping business launch and grow. This is the Surge Center, which is our business incubator. We work with startups, both technology and product startups, from concept through commercialization. We have all kinds of resources and programs and people to help them at each stage. So if there's anybody here that's starting a new company, or you know anybody that is in our area, please do send them our way. And AI Talk is an event that we hold on a monthly basis. It's usually a much more intimate group. We're very excited to be part of GR Tech Week. How many of you are participating in other events for GR Tech Week? Cool. And how many of you are not from Holland? All right. Cool. Thanks for making the trip with all the construction. So we have, as I said, we do these on a regular basis. So I'm going to send up a follow-up email after this. If you registered through Eventbrite, we have your email, or if it was an invitation from us, we have your email. If you like to be notified of our monthly events, please leave us your card or write down your email. We also have a Discord channel for an AI forum that we just launched last month. So if anybody's interested in participating in that, we welcome you to do that as well, to continue the conversation of our ever-changing world of artificial intelligence. But for today, we are super excited to have Sarah Forrest here from the SBDC, and she is going to talk about imagining an AI-powered future, particularly in Michigan. So Sarah is a full-time visionary, business consultant, researcher, thought partner, and innovative facilitator with a drive to inspire and empower communities. Her interests lie in the intersection of tech equity, economic development, social entrepreneurship, and information communication. As a business consultant with the Michigan SBDC, she specializes in assisting businesses in optimizing their technology and leveraging technology solutions to overcome obstacles and attain great success. So please give a warm welcome to Sarah.
Thank you for the intro, and this is a fun crowd. This is really great. So I'm going to take a second just to kind of like settle myself. As Amanda said, I am with the Michigan SBDC. Who here has even heard of the SBDC? Okay, that's actually impressive because we're sort of like a well-hidden secret, and I wish that everyone knew about it because much like Lakeshore Advantage, we are here to help assist, assess, and help optimize businesses here in Michigan. So we usually work in an ecosystem all together. So I'm really excited to be here today because I have been exploring AI for, and I'll say generative AI, for about the last 8 months, maybe a little longer. But the idea today is I'm trying to present to a mixed group of people what an AI-powered future might actually look like. So here we go, we're gonna get our bearings. So what we're gonna go over today is what even is artificial intelligence. I think we sometimes hear the word and we think that it's a brand new technology or brand new platform that we haven't interacted with in the past. And I just want to make the case for, that's not exactly true. We've been interacting with AI for a long time. It's just kind of changing and evolving and more accessible now. So who actually should be using it and how? And I'm hoping that each one of you kind of gives some perspective on how you're using it. And then finally, we'll jump into some methodology for implementing AI, whether it's in your business, your everyday life, or just as like a general user. And then we're gonna unpack the AI toolkit. So I was talking with Dean a second ago, and he surprised me. He knew some of the tools I was gonna use, so that's exciting because it kind of sets up who's here. I like to start with key terms, just because I want us to kind of understand the landscape of what we're gonna be talking about today. So AI first. And I want you to pay attention to the fact that it's just the capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. When I talk to people, they're really nervous about the fact that AI could replace human behavior. And the idea is that we need intelligent human behavior to exist for the machines to imitate. So keep that in mind. And then generative AI is just a type of artificial intelligence. So we'll talk about several different types of AI today. But the generative AI is kind of what everyone's talking about. The ChatGPT, the Claude, it's the ability to share what you're thinking, add some context, and it will generate something back to you. It will sort of have a conversational interaction with a computer, which is just novel. So then we've got augmentation. I think this is important because I talk a lot about augmenting our thinking. Some people think that AI is here to take over, it's here to do our jobs for us. And for a long time, it's just gonna act as a co-pilot or sort of like an assistant. And so it might make us a little better and more efficient, but it's just here to help. And then lastly, automation. And this one's a big topic because this is where we start talking about workforce development and machines replacing people's jobs. And I'm just here to sort of quell the fear, hopefully through this talk. We've got a really long way to go for that to be a possibility. And again, it still just takes intelligent human behavior to interact. Okay, so enough talking because I'm nervous. Let's just run an experiment. So first and foremost, I'm a researcher, so I like to engage. And I sort of took the liberty to group you guys into 4 categories. I was trying to think of who might show up at a talk like this. I've given about 7 or 8 artificial intelligence talks now. All the way from computer scientists who care about computer vision and large language models to general users who have a lot of fears and aren't really sure what it is. So I want you guys to take a second to just kind of internalize what group you think you fall into, and maybe just like turn to someone and tell them what group you think you fall into. I know we have to talk this morning. What group do you think you fall into? You can tell me. All of You know what group you're in? Okay, so I'm gonna call on one person.
I know a lot about the subject.
I like to talk.
Are you in marketing? No, I know a lot about the subject.
I'm gonna call on one person for each of the groups. So if you are an AI enthusiast, can you tell me who you are and what you came to learn today? Just really quickly. AI enthusiast, anyone? Okay.
Sort of.
Okay, so who are you and why'd you come?
Oh, geez. I should never put my hand up.
Fabulous.
Put your hand up faster. Okay, I'm Barry Hudson. I'm an industrial designer and graphic designer, so I'm guessing I'm an enthusiast.
Sure.
I'm kind of waffling on what that means. So, you know, it's just, I'm here to research and understand more.
Love that. All right, so what about the industry experts? Anybody? Industry expert?
I'm Mike. I'm from the Lawrence Tech Accelerator for robotics and automation, so I work in the space. And, yeah.
That's awesome. All right, what would you hope to learn?
What did you say you're from, Mike?
I'm from Lawrence Tech University as an accelerator. Actually, we support the West Michigan product developers. Amanda knows all about it, so she can get more information for you. And effectively, we have an engineering team at the school that can engage with companies that are developing physical products and try to help you out in a simple form.
All right, what about a business owner? Anyone in the room? Okay.
I own Michael Tree Marketing, which some of us are from, and we
currently using AI in several different aspects of reporting and copy and some of our client-facing stuff. So we're kind of getting more and more into it and seeing how other areas that we can explore.
Okay. All right, and then lastly, general user. Anyone who's just exploring it, trying to get to know it.
Yep.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT a lot just for kind of helping me with some ideas for social media marketing or mostly writing type stuff, some research, medical research, travel stuff.
Yeah, so we're all using it in extremely different ways. And the idea here was to kind of mirror AI and human thinking together today. And so what I'm gonna do, it's a little clunky because AI is not magic, you guys. So I pre-scripted these prompts. But we're gonna run an experiment. So I pre-scripted and I told the AI ahead of this talk, I am hosting a talk about artificial intelligence, and we'll be exploring AI, an AI-powered future. I gave it a description of what I think AI could do, and then I just kind of want it to know, so it has some background. It says, great, I didn't really ask for suggestions, but generative AI always puts something out, so we'll let it kind of run its time. But the idea here was I gave it an idea of what I was doing, and then I asked it further, based on the description of my talk, what do you think people would want to learn about? So I'll let it kind of finish. It's a little disorienting. Is anyone seeing it for the first time? Like, has everyone played with AI before? Okay. 6 months ago, everybody's hand kind of would have gone up. It's really interesting to see the change.
It differentiate maybe between ChatGPT and Claude.
Yes, and I will get there. So I'm playing with some tools.
This is Claude.
Yeah, okay, so to Dean's point, this is Claude from Anthropic, and we'll get into the topics or the platforms I'm using, but I just want to run this and kind of show people what it can do. So, okay, I gave it a description, it gave me some feedback, and I asked it, based on this description and these 4 categories of people, what do you think that they would all be here to learn today? And so I was just trying to prepare a talk that would be engaging to many different types of explorers. And it said, okay, they want to stay on top of the latest AI advances, eager to understand capabilities and limitations. AI enthusiasts, do you agree? Curious about future applications. Cool, industry experts might care about research and development. They might want to know about best practices, probably some policy changes. So you can see, it went on and gave me sort of a list of what it thought people would care about. And I think it got it basically right. People might care about these things, but oops, let's go back. Sorry, it's clunky, you guys. It's not magic. So we were testing, does the AI get it right? And basically it does. Through all the talks that I've been giving to people, if I categorize it and I give it sort of some guidance, it can basically tell me why people might be interested in learning about AI. But since I'm a researcher, I actually pulled data from feedback from the 7 or 8 talks that I've been giving in the last couple of months, and I thought this was really cool because it says very clearly that people want to see specific examples of AI in use. Word clouds are not always this clear, but I thought that was very cool. Thank you, research. So the AI gets it right, what you guys might care about, but it didn't really tell me exactly what you wanted. So let's move into AI in everyday life. Like I said, AI is not exactly new. So did anybody use Maps to get here today? Apple Maps, Google Maps, okay. Did anybody go on their Facebook or their Instagram today? Okay, everybody knows. So you've been interacting with artificial intelligence for a really long time. Each of these platforms has been using language models, predictive text, it's been using algorithmic training to sort of best guess and pre-feed you context or content that it thinks you might care about. I think what's new and what's exciting is that we now have access to some of these deep dive tools that these companies have had for a while, and we get to sort of bring our ideas and our everyday, imagination to life. Is that making sense? Everybody know we've used AI for a long time. All right, so here we go. This is my daily toolkit. And I think it's important when we're dealing with AI to sort of pick the tool that works best for you. It's such a sea out there of applications. Most of the applications are being built on top of AIs. So it's important to just kind of pick your toolkit, know what you trust, and know why you use it. So I use tools that are simple and easy to use because, again, I'm using this to augment my everyday work. It doesn't replace my work, so I have to do my job. And so I'm just trying to make my work and my client work a little bit easier. So the tools that I'm currently using, first of all, has everyone seen all of these? Any of these? Okay, which one are you guys most familiar with? Shout it out. Chat. Okay. Anything that you guys hadn't seen before? Okay, that's cool. Meet is popular. Okay. So I'll get into that. So Google is, Bard is Google's platform, so we know that that kind of competes with ChatGPT. Has very similar capabilities. You put something in, it can generate text and charts and ideas. Bard can't quite generate images yet. I think we're getting there, but I haven't played with that. Then we've got ChatGPT, which is what everybody is pretty familiar with. This is OpenAI's large language model and their platform. And so that's the one everyone's usually used to. You put stuff in, it gives something out. Claude 2, this is Anthropic. You guys familiar with Anthropic? Okay, so it's another research company that had been studying artificial intelligence and large language models alongside OpenAI and Google and Meta and all the platforms that have been researching this and using it for years. So Claude 2 is, I like it because Bard and Claude are both connected to the internet. And so they can actually pull more real-time information than chat. And as you guys, if you guys are industry experts or use it like to augment your daily thinking, you know that they're just okay. They don't really change much of what you do. But Bard and Claude, because they're connected to the internet, they're a lot better. And then Como, I like this because as a researcher, I want the platform to cite its sources. And Como seems to be trained on like research-specific information. So it pulls from Wikipedia, which is okay, but it pulls from other sources like .edu, .gov. I'm looking for those sort of indicators. And then Akoya, I use that for copywriting, which I'm going to show you some demonstrations in each one of these. I use that for copywriting and sort of scripting very specific things. And then MeetGeek is just another sort of meeting assistant, so Otter AI, people are using that quite a bit. And this sort of tech can sit in a virtual meeting with you, transcribe your notes, turn it into action items and insights. And so these types of tools I find are really helpful on a daily basis. Okay. I'll kind of go through this briefly because this room seems to know the limitations. But how many of you have just used AI and gotten blatantly wrong answers? Yeah, it's really not that hard, especially if you know what you're looking for. And that's really important because OpenAI says themselves that it's not always correct. It's not connected to the internet. And again, generative AI is, let me back up, language models, which power generative AI. All that they are doing is guessing the next best word in a sequence of words, okay? So it's not really thinking for you, it's just guessing what it should say next based on its training data. So that's really important to remember because it still requires your actual cognitive connections and your real-time decision making to sort through this information. Okay, so my recommendation would be check whether the responses from the model are true or not. Super simple. And I'll get into how we do that. So limitation number 2 is it's guessing what you mean. That kind of ties back into that, it's just guessing what you mean. It's a language model, it can't think, and so if you don't provide it very specific information, it will just sort of fill in the blanks. And any of you guys who are playing with like the image generators, it's hilarious how AI fills in the blanks. So anyways, recommendation is prompt engineering and iteration. You guys all familiar with prompt engineering? Okay, it'll probably be all of your children's jobs in like 20 years, so important to remember. All right, so the last thing is like my recommendation for how we actually use AI from a scientific perspective and responsible use. If I were to break it down very simply, phase 1, you input data, that's fine. Make sure that it's thorough, make sure it's vetted as best as you can. Use your industry expertise, use your own personal insights to sort of craft useful input. And then phase 2, the AI platform generates some type of output. We all know that. Phase 3 would be to research and refine the output, okay? So put something in, you get something out, you instantly research and refine. Please do not move to, this is fact, I'm going to use this, okay? We're all responsible users now, and we're all playing a role and a part in how this new technology gets used. So, all right, so I'm gonna stop talking about what we should worry about, and we'll play with some examples. So how many of you guys are actually using it on a daily basis somehow? Wow, that's surprising. That's not really that many people. Can you guys say why you're not using it on a daily basis? Just, does it not really work? Does it not serve you? Have you not found a use? Okay. Okay.
I've had some issues with the generative AI on images, so I just working with prompts and I'm like, it's taking longer to old fashioned way sometimes, so.
That's something I hear a lot. It actually is taking me longer to use it.
Yeah, just like the biggest one I noticed is that like sometimes it's not as accurate as it could be when it comes to copywriting and everything, like punctuation, all that great stuff, and then also just like the terms that it's choosing, not great all the time, uses really colorful words instead of straight to the point.
Yeah, it's not like at best, right? Okay, yeah, those are great examples. Like, I found that sometimes it takes me a lot more time to actually use it, and if I set aside some time to prompt and script and research, and then kind of use that when I need it, that has really worked best for me, but we'll get into the methodology. So what can AI help me accomplish? So I think we've all kind of heard that this promise of AI can help us forecast, it can help me improve things, help me organize, and it can help me make sense of, and it can help me learn. And I think people just really want to know how. Like, how did we, if we really are going to have this AI-powered future where things work seamlessly and our lives are easier, like, how did we actually get there? So talking about the methodology is, I think, what helps us actually take the steps today to have some sort of, more efficient future. So how do we actually get useful information from the AI is what I hope we answer. Is there a method or a strategy? And what is our end goal when using AI? So does anybody have sort of like a strategy for AI yet? Have they implemented one in their company? Are they exploring that? Really? Wow, so I know from like our standpoint as consultants and as an SBDC, we are trying to understand how do we best learn the tools so that we can help our clients when they have questions about, is it really useful? Should I buy it? Should I spend the money on it? We should be the experts and we should know how it works. I mean, it's also being built into Shopify and all the Google user tools, so if you're not familiar with it, I mean, someone should know, right? So I ask about an implementation strategy just so, like, are your employees using it? Are they checking the sources? Do you have some rules around that? So this is all some stuff that I am hearing industry experts explore, and okay, maybe we'll get
We
to
have policy, but
Okay.
in terms of like what you're asking for is a method, like is it actually built into our process? That's a little bit more questionable because of a lot of the things you said at the very beginning, right?
Mhm.
In terms of reliability. Now we have people testing it and trying it out, right? But it's not yet part of the process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's I think where a lot of us want to try and get to at some point.
Is having a seamless sort of flow and an integration.
Yeah, so if you're doing copywriting, for instance, it'd be like, first draft, okay, I need to do some SEO research.
Yep.
Could we have that be a first step in SEO? Or we know the keywords and then the next step is feed that in and then try and get a bunch of like an editorial calendar together.
Yeah.
It's
So how do
that-
we strategically create an automation flow?
Yeah, how does it work in as a partner?
Yeah.
But in a process standpoint, not individual experiments.
Okay, cool. So I think that the experiments will really get to this.
I think it's along the same lines, I see a lot more application use in manufacturing technologies, but it's still focused on solving a problem that previously couldn't solve, not as much leveraging it from a cost basis backwards.
Okay.
So I think there's maybe progress, but
Sort of
even
behind
that,
the
this other whole domain of using it in other ways is, I think, still very, very fresh to everybody.
Yeah. So you're sort of referencing the way AI has been used for a long time in automating processes. Is that what you're mentioning? Like you're seeing that happen behind the scenes, but this new forward-facing AI is
Yeah.
there's no strategy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm hearing everywhere. Okay, so I think when we're talking about devising a strategy or a method or how to use it, it's deciding what your end goal is really useful. So if you're going to use it for copywriting, really it starts with you. What do you want to get out of the copywriting? If you want some fully scripted, clearly researched XYZ, only you as the copywriter and the user know exactly what you're looking for. So I like this mentality of sort of starting with the end in mind. Really helpful. Okay, strategic thinking. All right, so before we go on, because we're gonna use this all throughout, prompt engineering is what has helped me. When people say, how do I actually get something useful out of AI? It's prompt engineering. I'm bringing in my mentor and friend, Dr. Buckhannon, who has been a longtime explorer of AI for 20 plus years as a computer scientist. He's out there exploring the tools, and this is kind of what he's coming back with. There's a four-part foundation for getting useful information out of AI or prompt engineering. And you usually want to give it a role, so tell it what it is. You're a researcher, you are a business owner, you are an accountant. Sometimes you're both of those things at once, because the AI just needs some sort of framework and it needs to sort of narrow down what it's searching. And then you want to give it a task. You want to be very clear. I want you to create something. I want you to generate a task list. So you want to be very clear on what you tell it to do. And then supporting information. So this is, again, where our industry expertise comes in, our years of experience, our personal thoughts. You pull all of that in, and then you finally tell it sort of how you want it to be. I want a checklist, I want a table, I want a chart, or I want a document. And if you can figure out how to engineer your question, your thought sort of in this, it doesn't actually have to be broken down like that. I found that you can actually get some useful things out of it. And then some other go-to phrases that I find myself using often, and so does he. What else? Or continue, keep going. Let's think step by step. Ask questions to clarify before. So you don't want it to move on before it understands or you understand what it was telling you. You want to make sure that it's actually challenging your thinking. And then acknowledge limits to your training data if needed. Okay? So if you were to prompt something with this, ChatGPT might tell you, well, I'm not connected to the internet, and I will not give you information or accurate data past 2021. That's really important to know when using AI platforms. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do a messy prompt equals messy results. Prompt engineering here, so again, excuse this clunkiness. We're gonna pull this, and let's use Bard. We're just gonna pull a tool from the toolkit today. I was training it on something. Okay, so we're gonna use Bard, and I'm gonna feed it. I need to give a prompt engineering demo. And the objective is to start with a vague prompt and get more descriptive with each question. Can you craft a demo prompt for me? And I wanted the audience to choose the prompt. So we can start with help me envision, help me learn, help me organize. Does anyone have, I don't know, a general idea?
Write a business plan for a cafe.
Okay, that's actually perfect. Super vague. That's my favorite. Okay, cool. So it's really vague. This is Bard, so Google's platform, and I'm just asking it, can you write a business plan for a cafe? Now, anybody here a business owner? Okay, is this descriptive enough? Like, is this just likely going to feed us back everything we need to know? Cost of goods, okay. No. But, okay, this gave me something different today. So it actually gave us some prompts. It says prompt 1, write a business plan for a cafe. Question 1, what is the name of your cafe? Okay, this is great. So you see how it gave you a prompt and then it asked you a series of questions to get more descriptive. So it says, well, what's the name? What kind of cafe do you want to open? We forgot all that information. What will be your cafe's unique selling proposition? So you see it's sort of helping me think through these things. And as a business consultant, my clients don't always do this level of thinking because they're so excited about their big idea and they're thinking about the end results, but not really thinking about the methodology. So we have to devise what our unique value proposition is. It's certainly not coffee. So what will set your cafe apart from the competition? So as we keep going, it gives us really descriptive questions, and then it keeps going. Let's see, example. All right, let's say this. Now, can you write a business plan for a cafe that will specialize in, I don't know, locally roasted coffee. What else should we add?
Baked scones.
Okay, baked scones from, where do scones originate from?
Ireland.
Ireland, okay. We'll give it more specific things. So it's still sort of basic, but now we've given it a little more. Can you write a business plan for a cafe that will specialize in locally roasted coffee and baked scones from Ireland? Okay, so it's gonna write us a business plan. You guys, this is not thorough, but as I was trying to demonstrate here, that if we were to take then each of these sections, so it gave me some vague stuff, it's giving me some strategy. I'm gonna take each one of these questions and then I'm gonna say, let's think step by step. What else? What haven't I thought of? So I'm just trying to sort of show you how it can be a brainstorming tool. You can take each one of these vague outline bullet points and then sort of feed it those prompts continuously and see if you can get something a little more useful out of the AI. Boom, boom. So these questions, yeah. What else? What didn't I think about? Where did my screen go? All right. Is that helpful? Do you guys, I'm sure everyone's kind of using it in that way already, but I wanted to just play with that a bit. All right, so this is gonna be sort of an involved one. This was a real client that I had. She is a PBS science communicator, and so she takes these really cool and complex scenarios about animals and sort of life sciences, and then she turns them into science communication podcasts or videos that she teaches to ages 10 to 30. Okay, and so she came to me and she was trying to augment her research process. She needs to do it faster. She's sort of a 1 to 2 person show. She does all the production, so she's busy, much like every other business owner. So we spent about 3.5 hours playing with this, and if you guys are interested, I'll take you through our research process. You guys want to see it? Real time? Okay. So in this case, I'm going to do something called tool stacking, which I'm making that up. So I'm going to use a couple of the AI tools together. That's been really useful for me. When I find that one of them doesn't do justice, I can move it to another platform that has different capabilities, and I get something better. So, all right, we're going to run through this example. So, like I said, we've told the AI, you are a research and podcast host. Your task is to analyze this document to help me understand the key points, and then write a podcast script that would help me make this clear to, we forgot our target market. All right, so what is cool about this one is I'm gonna show you guys an example of actually uploading a document to a piece of software. So Claude, like I said, is by Anthropic, and their cool feature for now is that even as a free platform, you can upload a document. So this document was actually just her script, and I should have showed it to you first. Let's see if I actually can. Okay, this is how it interprets it, but this is just a plain Microsoft doc. And she has already done her research, so she's pulled some information about a cave that will kill you. It's a cave of crystals that forms these really neat crystals that if you walk under them, right, it's a fun story to tell. But she just, first of all, she wants to take all this amount of data, dump it into a document. She pulled this off of, I think, Wikipedia or something. She wanted to take all this data, and she, again, our task is turn this into a podcast script. So I've uploaded the document, which is very helpful. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna tell it what to do. Now it's got my document, and now I want it to. All right, you are a research and podcast host. Please analyze this document to help me understand the key points, and then write a podcast script that would help me make this clear too. All right, so interesting. Here's a draft podcast script intro. Welcome to the Caves of Wonder podcast. I'm your host, and today we're going underground to explore one of the world's most incredible cave formations, the Cave of Crystals in Mexico. So I think this is really cool because it took all of this blank research data, links from Wikipedia, links from other research docs, and it came up with something that she could now use as a script. So let me make this clear. When you're using AI, usually it just like puts out an outline. And if any of you guys like have to then turn outlines into useful information, that requires this level of thinking that is exhausting. It's sometimes really hard to do. And so this just saves so much time. You can do the research, that's what she likes doing, and then it turns it into the fun, interactive, communicative information she needs. Kind of cool? You guys following? All right. So I want to show you, that wasn't it. That's just one thing we did. I kind of want to show you what we came up with. Oh, actually, okay, yeah, so we pull this. This is one tool. I'm gonna take the training data here, and I'm gonna throw it into Akoya. Now, Akoya, I think, is really cool. This is not a free platform. It's the only non-free platform I'll show you today. But for copywriters, it's kind of fun. So this has a pre-scripted, somebody already told it how YouTube algorithms work, types of keywords it should be using, the way it should be scripted. And so I'm gonna take this other script, or what it gave me at first, and I'm gonna turn it into a YouTube ready. So we're gonna use the prompt. All right, we accepted the prompt. We can't see the prompt, which is kind of interesting, but we're gonna use it for now. And we're gonna send it, and then I'm gonna tell it to turn all of this into a YouTube specific script. It's gonna take a minute, but when it works, it's really pretty cool. Has anyone used Akoya? No one has? No one's new. Well, usually it just shows up pretty quickly.
What language model is it built on?
So this is, yeah, that's a really good question. I'm pretty sure it's using both OpenAI, their platform, and then I want to say they're just starting to use Llama, but I'm not really sure. So you can also pull that in a white paper. I can show you guys how to do that. So it's not, yeah.
Is this a tool that's been built on top of these other tools?
Yes.
That's the idea.
So that's a really good point. So one of the things I want people to get used to asking in the future is am I interacting with AI, and which one and how? Okay, so those are gonna be really good questions as citizen scientists. We'll get to this in a minute. But a lot of apps that you're gonna see that are AI enabled or AI empowered, they're just using somebody's language model. So there are only a couple language models out there right now. And you have to request API keys, so that's OpenAI's platform. I think Google has Llama, and then someone else is coming out with Palm. Does anybody else know more? Correct me if I'm missing any.
Facebook actually Meta released Llama, I think.
Oh, Meta's Llama, you're right, sorry, Google is Palm.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, you're right, Meta
And
Llama.
then there's another one, DeepMind in Google has
That's
another
Google.
one.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they have another one they're coming out with, I forget.
Yep, and a lot of these researchers, they overlap and they cross-relate. So many of them, actually the first person that ever really showed me AI was someone who worked at DeepMind, but she then like moved to Meta. So many of these people right now are building all the same platforms. It's doing one thing, okay?
They all come from like the same 4 people anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So for anybody who's in the YouTube space, this is really cool. She took a really large, like scientific, heavy date document and then turned it into something that was information friendly, kid friendly, and it was really just a script. Everything from "Hi everybody, how are you?" to "Here's the info." So that's pretty cool.
The background
Yes.
music even, that was cool.
Yeah, it suggests background music.
Yeah.
Yes, you had a question.
What kind of other platforms does that one generate for besides YouTube?
Mm-hmm. So it's got Instagram built in. You can actually connect your socials, and it will study the social algorithm or how you sort of present, and it'll learn your tone.
Yeah.
And then it can imitate.
That's
What
pretty cool.
what I really like about this one is that other people can also engineer prompts that you can use, which is fun. It's like all on the platform. And you know, if it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? But it's sort of a data sharing platform. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna pull some demos from real life clients, and I'll do one more clunky demonstration, but this one's probably my favorite. So she played at Gunnet, and this is a young entrepreneur, a couple years out of college. She's doing incredible things. And so she has a sustainable clothing company, but really the value proposition is that they're designing for the future. So she wants the young consumers to be aware of textile waste and how to be better consumers moving towards the future. And so one of the things we work on is she likes to create educational content for her users. And we want this platform, we're gonna use ChatGPT for this one. We want ChatGPT to create a deep dive on textile waste, okay? We're gonna pull some supporting information, so we did a little bit of pre-researching, we pulled some information, but just a little bit, we didn't really tell it too much. We wanna see what the AI can do with just a little bit of leading information. Now, this is gonna be an example of like some severe prompt engineering. So I've told her, I've told the AI what its role is, which you guys just saw. And then lastly, I'm feeding it a deep dive format. So this is the part that you guys didn't get to see, but the deep dive format is I basically pre-trained a script, and I'm telling it what I expect to see in a deep dive. So when I ask you for a deep dive, I'm asking for something specific. So a deep dive would be key definitions. I want 2 of them. Let's dive a little deeper. So I want a question, then I want an answer, and I want 2 of those. I want some interesting points, please add 3. I want articles and only relevant articles, and I want the links to work. We'll see. Can you build a deep dive about the topic, okay? So this is, it already kind of knows what I want. I've given it some information. Let's see what it does. Okay, it took my formatting, it took the information I requested of it, and it just wrote me a little script about why we should care about pre-production waste, post-consumer waste, what it really is. Now again, we're on rung 2 of our generation process, so we'll still research and refine, but it's at least something to work with, and I now know a little more than I did before. What are the environmental and social impacts of textile waste? And it gave me an answer. What efforts are being made to address it? Very cool. So this gives her something, she turns this into blog post copy, she turns this into social media copy, but I'm now gonna show you how we take this. So say that we liked it, we approved it. We're gonna take this copy, we still have to copy and paste for now. And then I'm gonna ask the AI, actually I'm gonna stay in the same thread, but I'm gonna use another prompt. And prompt 2 is, thank you everybody for having a blast with me. All right. So now I want chat to turn this into 6 social media posts that encourage people to be more aware and take action. So now use all this information that you just pulled for me, and can you just create some quick social media posts so that I have some content for the week based on my theme? Yes.
Those like articles that it supplies to you, how does it do that if it's not actually connected to the internet?
You wanna see?
Yes, please.
This doesn't work. I guarantee you this is a fake link. Okay?
I had a feeling.
So this is why I don't use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
For this reason, I'm using Chat on purpose because it's been the only platform that has taken my deep dive format, and I use that to actually craft a lot of things. So I use it for that reason, but then I said I tool stack. I take it out of here,
Yeah.
I usually move to
Because
another
this is where I've
platform.
been limited is by connecting to the internet with ChatGPT.
Exactly.
Because you wanted to scan a website,
Yes.
take information from that, and
Yes.
do it. So which one can do that? The Bard and
Bard and Claude can do
Cool.
that.
All
Yeah,
right.
and actually ChatGPT, if you pay for
I
the
am.
right? I know we're not rich here. So we're still using the free versions, but if you pay for it, ChatGPT is actually
then can get online. Cool. Gotcha.
do not want
There's
to
also
accept
Perplexia AI
Gotcha.
that
Yeah.
will also work, and it's built on top of GPT 3.5 and Claude 2.
Cool.
Amazing.
And it's free, and you can get the
Yeah.
paid versions.
Yeah, and you guys, that's what's gonna come in the near future, is like, we don't actually have to worry about the tool stacking. I love to be aware, and I'm a researcher, so I wanna know how it works, but in the future, they'll do the tool stacking on their own. Lots of integrations that will kinda do it for us. Okay, so as we can tell, for a young entrepreneur who's doing it all herself, from like sourcing the materials to writing a blog post, this just saves her so much time. So she then can take these really fun, wonderfully crafted little texts and mirror them with her phenomenal content, which is actually what she's good at. So she's an incredible visual storyteller, she's a great clothing designer, and she loves to advocate for the cause. So she can now take this sort of pre-scripted AI output and mirror it with her work, kind of get her message out there, and it's working. And then we've got one more. So I'm kind of focusing on business here, but it's just because these are real life client examples. So I have an author, and her books are strategically written to help children deal with real life issues. So again, I give it a little prompt. We're gonna use Bard for this one. And the objective here is to create a strategic plan. So she's wanting to figure out, how do I actually reach retailers? How do I grow as a single self-publishing author who's selling on Amazon? How do I grow? Now, she does have a consultant, and we do a lot of really in-depth work, but if she wanted to kind of do the research herself, I actually pre-scripted this one. She could. So I ran it through Bard, and I asked Bard to help outline a 1-year plan. And so it gave me some pretty good stuff. The goal is to grow a brand and sell books to a major retailer. So that's kind of her end goal, so I didn't mind. Target audience, children's books buyers, including parents, grandparents, teachers, and librarians. And for people who are trying to understand their primary, secondary, and tertiary markets, those are cool suggestions, right? So messaging, books that are strategically written, it kind of takes all that into account. And then it tells you what your key strategies should be. So if I'm actually just trying to enter into a store and I've never done it before, I didn't realize that I should probably be running some targeted ads first, or attending trade shows and networking events. Maybe I didn't know any of that stuff. And 90% of my clients really don't know. So this sort of empowers them to do some of the research and the legwork ahead of coming, which makes our time more useful and meaningful. Now, I don't require people use AI before they come, but it's an option. And I like that it even gave her an action plan. Month 1, you want to start creating a social media strategy. Month 2, attend a trade show. So this is giving me 12 months of a step-by-step agenda of what I might do. Now, because this isn't thorough, I'm gonna take this and say, all right, for month 1, I'm gonna take that, and then I'm gonna work with it, we're gonna massage it out. Let's see if I pre-scripted anything. I didn't. But the idea is, okay, can you take this information and help me devise a step-by-step plan to reach this goal? So now we're getting real meta. We're gonna take each of those month-long objectives and sort of break it down into further objectives, because more work is the idea, right? It's all about the process and learning. And I think we'll see what it gives. Let's wait for its output. Okay, so it was all about creating a social media strategy. And so I know you guys, I think your experts that are in the room will probably have some input. But at least this gives her an idea of what she's looking for. So when she comes to you, she's not just, I need to start from scratch. Maybe she has some ideas and she's prepped. So it gives her some ideas, start posting on what platforms. And again, we can work this out as much as we want to. And I know this is nothing new. But for some clients who are really trying to reach goals and business owners who are trying to reach goals, like just having that augmented capability is really helpful. So again, we already explored the output. We had it think step by step, what haven't I thought of? And then another cool thing is, can you help me think of, or help me imagine an innovative addition to my company? So this is a fun experiment that we're running together, and I'm hoping to have her integrate a reading platform, like building an app that allows the children to read the books and sort of help them learn to read. And you can build that on top of large language models. So that's kind of the cool innovative strategies that AI introduces to everyday business owners. Okay, and then lastly, because we're all citizen scientists now, we're in this new age of technology, and I think it's really important to be aware of what information is useful information, right? We have all seen the effects of wrong information, useless information, botched information. So we just want to know where the information is coming from and how did they get it. So some research tools that I usually like to use. Obviously Google is still a pretty good source, but I think you want to look for things that end in .edu, because that means it's an educational platform, has vetted it, used it, .gov, .org. So look for these resources whenever the AI is sorting, here are my sources, here's where I got it from. You just kind of want to follow the trail. Google Scholar is a really good place. If you want some information, pull a white paper, pull a free abstract or something if you want to start with some information, dump that into the AI, and then tell it to build around something like that. So you're getting some more pointed information. Sci-Hub, oops, I'm so sorry you guys. Sci-Hub, this is a really fun one. So if anybody who is a researcher, articles usually are not free, but Sci-Hub compiles a bunch of free open source resources so you can pull free articles and information to build around. Really useful. And then lastly, white papers. So if anyone in here is curious about policy changes or industry warnings or things, typically the white papers on these websites, on the AI platforms, will tell you what they're doing with the training data, how they're using it, how they're getting it, what sorts of research they're doing on it, and then you can just use an AI to help break down what the white paper is saying, okay? So that's useful. And then lastly, libraries are still a good source. Census information is still a good source. Be responsible when you're feeding AI with information. Try your best to give it some good, useful, vetted research sources. So for that, Google Scholar, Google Trends is a good one, and Como, as I mentioned. All right, so what's coming next, you guys? I don't know who has been, are you guys used the Google Suite or Microsoft at all? Probably all of us. Okay, so in the Google Suite, this is kind of fun because I played with Google Slides. You can now visualize data in the Google Slides, which is really cool. Breaking down forecasting and financial information, turning that right into some sort of chart that people might understand, which is very fun. So you start seeing that sort of across the board. You'll start seeing changes in data policies. For example, Zoom, that's a really important one because we use it at the SBDC, and we just found out that they might be using that as training data. So that's really good to know. If you don't want your private meetings and your information being used as training data, you might want to toggle off the option or look at the white paper or what they're doing. So pay attention to that as we go in the future. And then everyday tools augmented. Like I said, whether we like it or not, you're gonna start seeing the AI tools pop up. You're gonna be using them whether you know it or not. So start asking, am I interacting with an AI and how? It's good to look around. And then we'll start seeing huge advances in computer vision. That is absolutely not my field. While I love to explore with scientists and with researchers, the amount of weather tech advancements and med tech advancements that are coming up from computer vision, just the computer being able to visualize large amounts of data, make predictions. You guys, it's really fascinating. So I explore everyone to sort of encourage that. Talk to an industry expert if you haven't. Meta, you guys any platform you use of theirs, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, you'll start to see lots of changes on those platforms, generative options. I wanted to play this little video because this is right inside of Google Slides. You can just type an idea. It doesn't even have to be clear. It'll do its best to generate an image that goes along with the talk. And I know this is kind of already out there, but I don't know. For me, just finding better ways to communicate what it is that I'm trying to conceptualize in my mind, this is really fun. My world brought to you. So look for those changes. And then lastly, I would say my key takeaways from all of my time exploring, learning from large groups of people, my takeaways would be we need more hands on the technology. Lots of different types of minds, types of curiosity. We have to gather diverse perspectives. Do not stop at the first person who tells you about AI. Go inspect it for yourself. Gather it from lots of use cases. I've got community members who are worried about it, and all the way up to computer scientists who don't really believe it's doing anything new. But just gather the perspectives and learn for yourself. And then lastly, explore and stay open. So, thank you for your time. Yes.
Time for some questions or comments.
How was that, bud? Was it too much at once? Was it useful?
Very good.
Was good? Okay. Any thoughts, questions, things I didn't cover?
So, for us in a commercial setting, my background is in product research and development, and one of the barriers to using AI is it basically comes down to IP disclosure. And so, I was wondering what your thoughts are and the trends that you're seeing with one using AI to explore and analyze existing IP, but also the role that AI plays in developing new intellectual property and developing new ideas where you're inherently disclosing pre-protected information.
Yeah.
Confidential, that's the word I was looking for. When you're disclosing confidential information and how it gets used in a training set or how it can leak into other people's responses, what do you see going on in that area?
Sure, that's a really good question, and anybody who has industry expertise, feel free to jump in. I'll take a stab at what I'm seeing. I know what I'm seeing out there is people are devising their own chatbots, so internal bots that help them sort of accomplish their goals. The benefits of that is that you can build it on top of language models that you request API access for, so they become your own chatbots. It stays internal. I do know that you have to pay for these platforms. That's what I'm seeing so far, that the paid platforms have better security options. As always, you need to be reading the white papers, the fine details. But what I'm seeing is large amounts of internal data being used to build and forecast and create insights for internal future moves. But again, it's all self-devised chatbots that people are building to help them assist. It's my best answer at the moment. It's not my area of expertise. Does anyone else have thoughts on that?
I just think about the financial firms who are out there building these fixed models. JP Morgan, right, they have deployed, they essentially said, give us the whole thing, we're gonna put it in-house, we're gonna create a fixed model that's constantly being added to. You know, financial data is fairly proprietary, we would all hope, right? They have some stake in keeping that private. And then from there, they're trying to do predictive analytics, forecasting, and everything from there. My guess is, like a lot of technologies, you know, JP Morgan's got some capital that they can invest to build that kind of thing in-house. I would hope over the course of a handful of years, we're gonna have essentially products that we can go, hey, I'm trying to, you know, develop product and I've got IP on my own, but I'm only a $200 million business. Okay, I can have the same kind of access to tools in that, but.
And I wouldn't forego any of the safety practices and protocols you have in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't throw them out the window. We don't put personal information into our AI, so anytime I use it to write client notes, I'm still redacting and removing all the personal information. Yeah, that's all I'll say there, but I had another thought. But to that point, you should just be aware. Don't put personal information or IP into these tools, because likely they are using this training data, so be aware of the tools you're using.
I think GPT just released recently like an enterprise version,
right,
which is supposed to have higher levels of confidentiality.
Yep.
And then there was another one that was out there recently that was pretty early.
Yeah. Know the tools. Read the white papers.
Yeah, it's changing every like month.
Yes.
Every week.
Yes.
And the pricing as well.
Yeah. I know if it's worth buying or not.
I just added manufacturing environment, there's still a lot of concern about cloud-based interfacing. So if there is any machine learning, AI vision type of space, that's probably best served with edge device, which you can. So that's something that's being developed. I don't see that changing. Quantum computing around the corner we're learning about, that is just really interesting and scary altogether in terms of cybersecurity risks and opportunities.
Yeah, scary if you don't know, which is why we should go explore.
Audio, verbal,
Yeah.
is that coming?
It's here. So I'd say, so let's talk about the large language models, and again, we mentioned how they work. It's predictive text, it's guessing the next most likely word in a string of sentences, and so audio is sort of here, it's filling in the gap, but you can imagine if you can do it with written language, that you can do it with audible language. And so it's guessing, again, it's taking what you did say, it's taking the context, it's filling it in, and then it can sometimes transcribe that to text, to images. So that is here. Google, I know, is building it into some of its platforms. I think we can expect to see it in Apple and Android. So there's some cool applications to that. If you think about speech and language pathology and therapy, there's some really cool applications. So I think for everything that we doubt and we think is scary, we should look for its alternative, because it's also being used to do some incredible things.
I'm working with a blind person right now, and they use AI.
It's a great question, right? Wow, I think as it advances, there will be a lot more options, right? Can you explain my surroundings as we kind of mix augmented reality and virtual reality with these AIs? There's some real powerful potential. I'm also playing a lot in the virtual reality space, and so the mixing and the mirroring of the two, I think if you can map the environment, you can ask where you are in the environment, it can sense it using sensors, cameras, and it could transcribe sort of their environment to them and give them some feedback.
Hallucinations are easy to spot. Sometimes they're easy. You hope they're easy. If you follow your method, you can identify them. Another issue to overcome is biases between races, genders, cultures, all these things that get subtly baked into the responses that AI can give. Do you have any tips for training your brain to look for those things and identify those more subtle traps?
That is a really, really good question as like a citizen user. And when we think about responsible use, that's a really good question. So one of my business partners / good friends, he's a research scientist for Meta, and I know that when generative AI came out and the tools that they're planning to launch, his whole job at this point is to, what is our civil rights action plan? How are we accounting for skin tone changes in computer vision or any of these other tools that we're so excited about? And I think the answer is what it has always been, is we have to stay aware and on top of what's happening, like gather perspectives from people. You know, what do they see? You don't know what you don't know. So if you get a response back and it actually didn't reflect my opinion, how would you know that? Unless you're out gathering perspectives, making sure that that all the information you gather isn't biased. So I think my point is just ask the AI, are you biased? Do you have any biases, and what should I be thinking about? Ask other people. That's a good